Today, I'm going to do an illustration to show you how to hide your cables behind the wall with your television. I use this diagram to illustrate the television bracket, which will be mounted to the wall in the green here. I use this outline of red to illustrate the diameter of the television. So if in fact your television extended beyond this surface here, the television would be removed, and this area here or here is where we want to cut our hole. So we're going to use this device. It's called a single gang low voltage bracket. And what happens with this is for old work, which can be found at Home Depot or Lowe's. Very quickly show you how it looks. What happens with this device is, if you use a Phillips head screwdriver or drill, once you screw into the device here, it makes the tab flip up. You see how this tab flips up? It makes the tab flips up. The tab then grabs the back of the wall and pulls it tight. Okay, so a couple things you're going to need. You can use a drill or hand Phillips screwdriver, which I like to use a drill. You can use a handsaw, which is a blade that has a very jagged edge, and we're going to use that to cut through the sheetrock. You can use a level, which this is a 3-foot level, or a smaller one, which is called a torpedo level. One last thing we're going to do, we're going to use a pencil. We like to use pencils, not ink pens, because pencil can be wiped off the wall. Okay? And this is just a single standard wall outlet cover, which in fact, if this was the wall switch, this would be the cover. Now, I chose these two devices because these are relatively inexpensive. They have different devices in the media aisle at Home Depot that will suffice for these things too, but they run about from $6 to $20. These are the least costly, okay? These two items. Single gang outlet bracket and just basic wall switch cover. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is, after we define, and you don't have to write on the wall, but after we define the perimeter where the television goes, so we know that we're going to put the bracket somewhere here. Okay? So what I like to do is, we like to take the bracket here, and we like to measure. So a quick way is to say, okay, we don't know where the studs are behind the wall, but so sometimes what we'll do is we'll tap along the wall or use a stud finder. And once it becomes solid, that lets you know a stud is behind the wall. And the stud is nothing more than the 2x4 that we use here that holds the sheetrock to the wall. Okay? So, we're going to just say we're going to start at this point here. This point here reference it's still being behind the television and hidden. That's the whole purpose of this idea. So we're going to take our level, right? Take our level here, and we're going to put the level on the wall. And of course, the level means that this bubble here always sits equally between these two lines here. That lets you know that the level is perfectly straight. So we're just going to draw a short line there, right? Well, in fact, I'm going to raise the line up a little more, okay? We're going to draw a straight line here. Okay, so what that allows us to do is know that the bottom of this bracket is not going to extend beyond the perimeter of the television here, which is outlined in red. So easy way to do it is to take the bracket and put it on that line level and just draw out the little square on the inside of it. Now, one thing that you'll notice is there are some lines here on this material that actually extends beyond the inside portion of it. We're just using this as a guideline. So what we're going to do is we'll put this device back up here, and we'll say at this point here, which is there and there at the bottom, here on this edge and here on that edge. This is as far as this material extends. So we're going to just draw a little line across there, right, to there. And we're going to draw it back down here, straight to that one, and out to that one, and straight to that one too. right? So what we're going to do is, we notice that there's a little, what we call space between this part and that part, which is part of the material. So we're going to just outline just beyond that line there, which is about 1/8 of an inch, right? 1/8 of an inch from the inside part. Okay. So then what we're going to do is, we're going to start cutting. So the first thing we do is, you can either use a razor knife to outline, and the first thing you want to do with the razor knife is, this is a utility blade. It has these blades here that, you know, come out, some stay in different ways. Okay, so this blade here, so we're going to use it just to scribe a line here. We're going to use it to scribe a line there, and scribe a line here, and scribe a line back down. Now I use the word scribe because I'm not applying a lot of pressure here, because we cannot see behind the wall, and we want to make sure that where we're cutting does not interfere with the stud or any other thing that may be hidden behind the wall. So we're going to take our knife, our blade here, which is generally like a hole saw, sheetrock saw. We're going to take it and we're going to wiggle it a little bit until it penetrates through the sheetrock. And then we're going to go cut on that line. Right? We're going to cut on that line. So at the point where we stopped our block here, it's not on the stud. Case in point, show an example. If you were cutting in the wall and you can't see behind it, and let's say you start at a point here. Let's say you start cutting, right? And you notice this is as far as it'll go. Don't force it any further, because that lets you know you ran into a stud behind the wall that you can't see. And in essence, what has happened, as you were sawing along the way, you ran into the side of the stud. So stop at that point. So we won't continue to go to the right at that point. We would then take our device and measure beyond that point, maybe a couple of inches over, and then start it sawing back in this direction. Because generally, on the studs, what we call on center, the stud is 1.5 inches in width, from that end to that end. That means between the two studs, it's generally 16 inches. So we know if a stud stops right here, then we got at least 16 inches to go before we run into another stud. So then what we're going to do is, so since we didn't run to the stud on this point here, we're going to continue. So then after we've cut the hole through this saw, with this saw on this line, we're going to then take it and go up. Right? Okay? Or you can start up top and go down. Right? And then start on this side. Cut out that way. Oh my God, the piece of sheetrock fell through the wall. Quite alright. We do that all the time. Sometimes we'll pull it back out through the front. Sometimes we'll just let it drop back down the hole inside the wall. No big deal at all. So then what we're going to do is we're going to grab our single game device again, and we're going to fit it in the hole. Okay? So once we fit it in the hole, it should be snug like so inside the wall, right? Now, if when you happen to do this, it doesn't completely fit in, then just take your saw blade again, and then just shave just a little bit more in the area where you feel like it needs to be shaved off in order for this thing to fit completely flush inside the wall. These again are the tabs. These are the tabs that open and close. And what happens is once this tab goes into the wall, it flips open and it holds itself behind the wall. So tabs straight up and down, push it in to the hole here. Device is flush with the wall. Once you've done that, then you take your drill or screw driver. I prefer a drill, it's much faster. And you drill it in the forward position, and it grabs the tab behind the wall very slowly. And once you feel that it begins to tighten, that's enough. Because you don't want to over tighten it and break the plastic. You can do the top part the same way. I use mine by sound. And so once I realize there's some restriction on the drill, I stop. Because at that point it lets me know it's gotten tight. Okay, so we found our first point. All right, now, so what we're going to do again is we're going to go to the second point. Now, generally, on the bottom of the floor is your baseboard. Now, generally, you want that same hole straight down in relation to this one on the floor, above the baseboard. So what we'll do in that respect is, and just because I only brought one of these to show, we're going to take this one back off. And we're going to do the same thing again. Now, as a means of expediting the second hole, if you can keep the piece of sheetrock that we pushed out, we can then use that piece of sheetrock at the bottom as a pattern to draw from. So but we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to go to the bottom of the baseboard, and let's say hypothetically there's an outlet that sits somewhere on the wall, right? Let's say there's an outlet sits somewhere on the wall here. So then we're going to bring it about over here, okay? So we're going to take the same device above the floor again, and definitely above the baseboard. We're going to bring our level, and we're using the level just for aesthetic reasons, okay? Because, you know, you always want things to look good. We're going to use the level, and we're going to just scribe a little short line, right? So we're noticing that we're going to be directly below that hole. So we're going to take this again, and we're going to draw out our circle, or our rectangle actually, inside here again. We're going to make a note that it stops here, that it stops there, and it stops there. So what we're going to do is, we're going to draw this little square out again, just like we did up at the top, right? Like such. Okay, we're going to grab our sheetrock saw again. And this is actually just a saw blade to one of my reciprocating saws. The sheetrock saw blade is exactly like this, but with a handle on it. So we're going to grab that, and we're going to, again, push it in, start to cut out our material here. We're going to push it in, start to cut out our material here. We're going to push it in and start to cut out our material there. And we're going to push it in up top and cut out our material again there. Okay, so I pushed that in the wall, so that's still nice and neat. So then we're going to do the same exact thing and make sure that fits nice and snug and flush. But before I install that one, we're going to keep in mind that this one up top is already installed and in place. Okay? So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our cable. Whether it's the HDMI cable or your cable, or even the plug that powers the television. And I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. So we're going to take our cable, drop it through the hole, and fish it down to the bottom. Okay? Well, let me show you one other thing. So we know that the cable is long enough to go from here to there. So you always want to make sure that not only does the cable extend beyond the 2 points of the hole, but it extends out this way too. The longer the cable, the better, because at that point you'll have your TV already mounted to the bracket, you have your necessary cables already in place on the TV. The cables would then hang from the television, and then all you've got to do is reach up under the TV and push them through the hole. Now once you push them through the hole, alright, so we know at this point that's enough wire to go to the bottom of the floor. So we're going to keep this suspend it like such and make sure it doesn't go past a certain point because we don't want this to fall through. Then we're going to go to the bottom and we're going to put our hands in the bottom and we're going to feel the wire and pull the wire back through this side. So now we have the wire coming through both sides. Now generally a lot of people like to have an outlet installed somewhere where the television is going to be. Well, typically that was a good idea. But realistically, the best thing to do is to and the least costly thing to do is to push the power wire from the TV through the same hole. What happens at that point is it allows you to pull the wire through the bottom of here, plug the TV into a multi-strip surge protector. Surge protectors are generally the best things that you can plug your flat panel TVs in because they offer protection against lightning. If you have a outlet mounted here and a TV plugged into there, there's no protection. Now, they do carry a device that is a surge protector that will go mount in the wall just as a regular outlet would be mounted. But the thing about that is you never know when they go bad. Unlike the surge protector will sit on the floor somewhere. You can then periodically look at the surge protector and see an indicator that still says in protection mode. So that is a benefit to run that power wire through here versus to have a power outlet installed above where the television goes. Okay, so now after we've ran our cabling through here, if someone else is helping you, they can hold the TV and you can plug them up here and then sit the TV on the mount. If not, they can plug the wires into the TV, sit the TV onto the mount, then reach up on the bottom and push the cable through here because the cables are long enough and fall down to the bottom of here, reach through the hole and pull it out. Now, so what we generally do is to clean all this up is I like to use this simple wall cover outlet to clean this look up. So once your cables are, let's say that the TV is up and you've got all your cables attached to it. Well, beforehand, we'll take this outlet cover and we'll screw it in place, right? We'll screw the outlet cover in place and it'll look like that. So that cleans up the look. But they carry several devices that will do the same thing. This just happens to be the least expensive one. So once that is in place, then you can push your wires through here. That cleans up that look, plus the television is going to cover it all up. So then it comes to, what about the bottom? Well, so once we run the cable through the bottom, and we put this device in place at the bottom, you put this device in place at the bottom, right? You put this device, let me show you something really quick. You put this device in after the cables are in place. And the reason why you do that is because you need as much opening as you possibly can get to send your hand through it to grab the wire. So now I've got the wire here, and so now I can pull the cable in through it. So after you've put all the cables that you want to have through here, then you want to install this device. Once you install this device, it minimizes the amount of space you have to put your hands in it. So once you install this device, then you gently screw it tight to the wall where it's flush and stable. Your cords are coming through. Then you put this device on afterwards. You screw this outlet cover to that device. That further cleans up the look. And now you can plug the bottom part of your cords into the devices that they correspond to. Whether it's your cable device, whether it's your DVD player, or whether it's your surge protector outlet where you power the TV into. Now, sometimes the cables on the televisions aren't long enough to go where your surge protector is. So at that point, you buy an inexpensive extension cord, which would be the little white one or the little brown ones. You attach it to the wire from the back of the TV and you drop it through the wall as it would be the whole length of the power cord for the television. So that concludes our video today, and I hope this works.